If you guys are curious about how to take more listings, this next guest is for you. Linda Freudenthal was our #1 producing agent for the first 3 quarters this year in listings taken and listings volume. So she knows what she's doing. She's been doing this a very long time, and I'm excited for you guys to get to know her and her business, and more importantly, how you can take more listings. Well, you guys, we have Linda Freudenthal here. She is the #1 individual producer at the Keller Williams Fox Cities office in units and in volume. And we're excited to talk with her today about getting listings or repeat business from her referral system that she has. She's agreed to kind of share some of her wisdom of years in the business. And let's jump into talking with her right away. Linda, congratulations.
Thanks, Caleb. It's nice to be a part of your team.
You produced in units and in volume, and through the first 3 quarters of this year, you were at the top of the top. So tell us, how long have you been selling real estate?
40 years, full time in the same market.
Let's talk about listings. When I think of listings, I think of Linda. What does that have? What impact does listings have on your business?
I've always loved listings from the very beginning, and that's what works for me, and I just keep doing it over and over and over. So I pretty much become a robot, and it's just natural. I'm endlessly nonstop, minute-to-minute marketing myself and my properties, and it's like I'm programmed. I have a photogenic memory, and I learn fast and I retain, so that's really helpful. And I work my past business and my future business all the time and everything I do. I've always leaned heavy to the listing, but you have to remember I started in 1980. So that was a lot different, but the basics are exactly the same. That does not change. So that's a Gary Keller philosophy. You just shift, you stay the same. Okay.
Okay, awesome. So how much percentage of your time lead generating do you spend looking for listings?
I would say over 90%.
90%. Okay, so your business strictly, I mean, you point directly at listings. Like you wake up every day saying, what listing can I take?
Yeah, I wake up every morning and I ask God to partnership with me and say, who needs my help today?
There we go.
And I focus more on helping people than, the number game. And it just takes care of itself.
Okay, awesome. So you show up every day, though. That's one thing I picked up from you early on, is you've showed up every day since 1980, and you work incredibly hard. Your work ethic, that was the first thing I picked up when I met you. Can you talk a little bit about that, of your kind of what it takes to be a listing, succeed in listings?
Well, you have to get up early. The early bird gets the worm, and you have to dress up. And you have to get out. But I think the #1 key element that I want to share in this new agents coming on board is you must talk to people. Texting, email, things like that might get a conversation starting, but you must talk to people if you want to be successful in real estate. And I know that's real difficult for some people. But all through COVID, I got up early every day. I dressed up like I was going to see a lot of people and meet new clients and customers. And I went down to my office and I worked hard. I work hard, long hours, and I work until I'm tired.
There we go. Awesome. So you said you spend about 90% of your time looking for, listings, and your business is kind of focused there. What does lead generation look like for you today?
Every person I talk to is a potential lead. And so I don't know when they're going to be my business client, but I know they will be at some point in time. I don't buy leads. I work my past business really hard and consistently.
When you're so when you're working your past clients, Give me an example what that looks like. Do you call them quarterly? Do you, send them things on their birthday? To give me a little bit more about what that means.
Okay, my database is I call it my Christmas list. That is all my buyers and sellers are my presents. And I'm very, very sincerely, emotionally thankful for that. So I send them thank you notes or remember when or just how are you doing notes sporadically. And it's sincere. So it's not a system that I have to do these every day or certain people every day. It's often I, pray before I get my day started. And it's whoever's name was put on my heart. The hard part is once they're on my heart, I have to do it. I can't go to sleep that night until I've either picked up the phone, called them, send them a note, or even send them an email, or just reached out even in Facebook. That's how I nurture my past business.
Awesome. So you send them some gratitude and you just talk to them from your heart. It sounds just like a habit. It gets falls on your heart. You need to talk to some people. How do you intertwine business, or do they just naturally bring it up when you call them? You're just touching base with them because you care about them. Like, how does it naturally get back to business or real estate? They typically bring it up.
Well, once again, my business is intertwined with everything I do. So I don't say I'm a real estate agent. I need your listing.
Right.
I just talk to them about things. And they'll tell me that, they're they want to sell, or they know somebody, or their neighbor wants to sell. They'll tell me about somebody that is having a real estate issue or whatever. I rarely now, because I've been doing it for so long, have to ask for business. I pretty much become selective of who I want to work for now. That's taken a really long time to get there.
Yeah, well, you deserve it. You've worked incredibly hard. So keep rolling with it. When you were building that, though, can you take me back to when you were building that? When you say you intertwine your business with everything you do, tell me about some things that you do just in your daily life, and then how it leads back to the listings and real estate.
If I get up in the morning and I stop for coffee at the local coffee shop, I take time to find out how that coffee maker is doing that day, what's going on in her life, what's important to her. I ask her about how her day is going, and I make it special for her. And I don't forget what she told me. So the next time I go in, we can continue or I'll follow up on that. I really, really support my local market. It's an old-fashioned word, it's called bird doggers. I have people that are so extremely loyal to me. A gal that was ended up being one of my best friends. She had a very, very popular eating establishment. I happen to sell it, but every time somebody would be sitting down and looking at an information sheet on real estate, she would just waltz over, give them my card, and said, "This is the best realtor in town." And she would call me while they're sitting there and give her phone to them. And then, if they were working with someone else, I would just say, "Oh, sorry about that." And she would just say, "Don't work with that person. You need to work with Linda." And you only need about 5 of those. Always took good care of her.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because all the interviews that we've been doing, this has not necessarily came up, and I want to talk about it a little bit more because I believe that behind every successful real estate professional, there are about 5, like you said, 5 of the people that you just talked about, that they are your biggest ambassador, and they go around and they help you with your business, and you try to help them. But how did this woman who owned this restaurant, how did she become this person with you? How did this relationship evolve?
First of all, I'll go back a little bit because I'm going to finish answering that first question. Is back a lot of years ago, I call it a pick list. It's a PIK, people I know list, and I know through the years they've got different titles for that. And every agent that I've mentored, you start out with 25 people that you know, and then you get all the way up to 100. You have to know 100 people. If you don't, start making them up. And then you classify them And and you get down to 5 core people that love you, believe in you, would die for you. And sometimes it's your mother, sometimes it's an aunt or an uncle. This one happened. I don't have any family here at all, which is good and bad in some ways. And so Holly, I became really good friends with her mother. Actually did the eulogy at her funeral. And her mother said, when I passed, she had kidney failure. She goes, I want you to take care of my daughter for me. And so I just took care of her, and I would send everybody there. Every time I had a closing, I would buy a gift. I would say, Holly, these people are coming in. We've looked at 10 properties. They're exhausted. They're hungry. They're going to come in. This is what they look like. I'm going to pick up their bill. And she would, give them dessert and coffee and really pad my bill. But then she would also tell them what a great realtor they were working with. And it's just, I've probably grown that list to about 10 now, but I have 5 that I would say would do anything and everything to help me grow my business.
And what I love about that is that it actually came out of a serving relationship where you had talked with her mother saying, I would absolutely help your daughter. And it just came from the heart. And then just naturally, it just blossomed into this great strategic business relationship, which was never the intent. It was just, you were leading with your heart going, I'm going to help this person. And then it kind of blossomed into this great business relationship as well. So what a great testament to your leadership and to just taking care of other people. You'd help enough people get what they want, you naturally are going to get what you want.
That's my philosophy.
So Linda, you are I pretty much, what I know about you, if you're sitting at the listing table, you're either going to get the listing or you're going to choose not to have the listing.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So that's and you deserve that. But like when you're at that table, what are some things that you find yourself saying over and over again? Like try to think really like specific and strategic things that you notice you repeat every single time, just of what you've learned over the years in the business.
After we get comfortable and chat a little bit, it's not like the first thing I say. It's like, okay, tell me, what can I do to help you? What if I had one thing on your wish list, what would it be that you would want me to do? And I can say that very sincerely and very confidently, because rarely can they bring up something I can't do now, because I can do it, because lots of years of experience. But when I started out, of questions that I would put out in front of us, have a visual and say, okay, we have these 5 areas that most people have concerns about. I want you to rate them 1 to 5 on what is your concern. So I'll say an example would be safety. Okay, how concerned are you about having people come in your house? And if they say a 6, we're going to talk a long time about a Supra, and we're going to talk about, all of that. If they say, oh, we don't even lock our doors, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. And then what that does is it narrows it down to what really makes that seller tick, and what can I do to help them get over that, address that, so we can get down to, the condition of the home and selling it and all the other stuff that happens.
So you'll have your sellers actually tell you exactly how they want to be treated, and then you just deliver on the value that they expect or that is most important to them. So you come to them with curiosity first. They clear all the obstacles for you.
How I do that now, that was not how I did in the beginning, and that still works. The basics always work. It's when you start getting a little successful, a little wind, and you start doing the gimmicks, and I have to have this, and I got to buy this. You lose track of the basics. And so even this COVID, what that did is it slaps you right back down to the basics. And if you don't have a really sound, basic, fundamental, what you believe in and what's important, and you have to be so strong at that you don't deviate or compromise. I'm not sure you'll make it through the tough times. I love that real estate condition report, because what we do is we're going to go through this together, and we're going to go line by line. And you cannot believe what you learn from that and their conversations. And they'll start opening up and they'll start telling you all about that property. And that's what you need to know. You need to know everything about that property. So I memorize everything and I stay focused. I don't look at my texts. I don't look at my messages. It is driving me crazy after about 3 hours of everybody that's waiting and talking to me. But you stay engaged and focused, and pretty soon they're just happy for you to just get out of their house, leave. So where do I sign? But when I invest that much into that listing platform, I know that when I get an offer, and I also watch how if it's a husband and wife situation, how they interact between each other. And I make both of them feel important until I find out that there's one submissive and one dominant. And a lot of times you think the one that's making the decisions is not the one making the decisions. And I've also learned to, separate the personalities, because there's some nasty personalities out there, from the problem. And then I love an itchy mind, a mind that's always trying to figure out how a solution or how to fix it. And I don't ever want to lose that. I'm always trying to figure out how it makes it work.
Yeah, you very much want to learn all the time.
All the time. Every day I make myself learn something. I learn something about real estate every day. I wish Keller Williams was there when I started 40 years ago. Your education at Keller Williams is just endless. It's just a matter of you taking time in your day to schedule out what you want to learn that day. And you have to learn it. There's no shortcuts.
Yeah.
You just have to do it every day, and you have to figure out what you do well and do it a lot. Every listing is different. I'm never bored at anything because I just don't. I've never thought every listing was the same, so I don't treat every listing the same. Some people need to have a lot of hand holding. Some people need coaching. Some people just, I'll see you at closing. Let me know how it goes. And there are that extreme, and you have to figure out which one it is. Recently, I have had a lot of hand holding elderly people that just want me to make their decisions for them. And I have a very, very burden of responsibility that I don't want to make a mistake for them. And that's not. And so I'm always seeking out to have a daughter or a son or somebody that I can chat with because you work really hard to get that trust level, and then you don't ever want to violate.
Yeah. Linda, when you take a listing, tell me, what does Linda do, like, to market it, or what do you, obviously you know the property better than anybody else. I've picked that up so far. Like, then what do you do to sell it?
Well, before I take the listing, I create a history packet. I have a 16-year-old. She's a work study student. She's top of her class, and she works for me a couple hours a day. And I've taught her how to do that. She'll research the MLS data. I know the history of that property from the assessor data, the zoning, the floodplain, the lakes, everything about that property. She pulls that together for me, and I know how to do it if she can't. And then I have a second copy of that, so I take it to the listing, because you'd be surprised how sellers don't know anything about what they're selling. So I have a lot of that compiled already. And then when I get the listing, we create a showing packet and we put it in PDF form. So when I get a listing, when I get a notification that there's a showing on my listing, I can go into showing time, which is really good now. It used to be pretty cumbersome. So I just go in and I click and I say, oh, thanks for showing my listing. I'm excited. I might say something quirky about watch that bottom step at the basement, or the light switch is behind the door. It's kind of, I hate that. And then I'll say, I have a PDF packet with everything you might need or your buyers might ask about this property. Would you like me to send it to you? You'd be surprised how many say, no, I don't need that. Okay, so then I know they're using my listing to sell a different one, or they're just pretty smart. So what I do is I prepare that for them. I'd say 9 out of 10 will say, yes, send it right over. And hopefully they print it out, or what they do is they go to the property without it and they're on their phone and and they're calling me, asking me these questions. And I don't care. I want them to call me. I tell them, call me. I have the property memorized. What do you need to know? So then I use that showing time a lot. Then I'll send a quick message, because you can do that right in there, to the seller, because they are obviously aware there's a showing happening, and ask if everything okay. Kids just didn't spill Kool-Aid on the carpet. Are you okay? Are you having a good day? Is everything all right? Is there anything you need me to do? Do you need me to go over and make your bed? What do you need? They get that memo right away, and I do it, whatever I'm supposed to do, I do. And then afterwards, we follow up with the feedback, and I have created a personal feedback in my showing time that gives me a space where they can make comments. And I see those before they go out to my seller, and if there's anything that's kind of weird or not nice, or they need a little more explanation, or it's solidifying what I've been telling that seller they need to do, I call them and say, you're going to be getting this. This is what it's going to say, or I'll send it and I'll call right after that.
What's the number one thing that, if you had to pick the number one reason most of your clients repeat or they send you referrals, like what's the number one thing you do that causes you to get most of that referral business?
I do my job.
Can you be a little more specific?
I work really, really hard to gain their trust and confidence.
Yep.
I don't care if it's real estate, if it's buying a car, if it's your grocery or whatever, you're going to go back to somebody that you trust. They also know that if they come back to me, they don't have to start all over. They have already developed a relationship with me. And in most cases, I can tell you this one story. I've been doing thank you notes since the day I started, and I'll never quit doing those. I had 2 kids call me, and they said mom and dad passed, and we're going through their things. We opened the top of their dresser drawer, and there was a thank you note from you 20 years ago.
Wow.
And they hung on to that. And so she said, we're just grateful that you're still in the business. And I'm like, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm still in the business. And so, of course, I got that listing. But
that is awesome. Is there anything that you do to make sure that you consistently are in follow up with those past clients and spheres, other than thank you notes? Like, what else are you doing to make sure that you're kind of in communication with them?
Well, the one thing that's kind of shifted that enhances that is Facebook.
Yeah.
So anytime I get an opportunity with a seller or a buyer, I ask them to like me, or I like their page, and I take a time out every day to go through and make a comment, even if it's sending them something about whatever they do. And then I'll also note that on my Excel sheet where I have my Christmas list, that may have happened or whatever, and make mention of it. And this happened a long time ago. I had a phone call. I'll shorten a long story. It's hard for me to do that. But he called and he said, I am Don, and I have this property I want to list. And he blah, 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 all about the property, and knew where the property was, what it was, and everything. And he said, and what is your commission rate? And at that time, I said my commission rate was 6%. And he said, I've interviewed 6 other real estate agents, and their commission rates were 2.4, 3, 4, 5. He goes, how do you respond to that? And I said, well, I would probably list with them. And he said, okay, thank you very much. I'll take that into consideration. Once I make my decision, I'll give you a call back. Hung up, and I thought, I'll never hear from him again.
Yeah.
Okay. A little while later, he called me and he said, Linda, send me out that listing contract. We're ready to go, short version. And I said, okay. So I sent it out to him. He sent it back, Caleb. He crossed off the 6 and he put 10%.
Wow.
Okay. So I asked him for permission if I could copy your listing contract. So needless to say, for about 10 years, I think I still have that somewhere. I would go on a listing presentation and they would say, what is your commission? And I would tell them, and I said, however, there are others that are willing to pay more, such as this, I have right here in the listing contract.
Yeah.
Totally end of conversation. But I just, I want to encourage people to be confident enough in themselves. You can't get that unless you know your stuff.
Yeah.
To be able to get paid for what we do.
So what was, I'm sure he gave you a reason. Did he give you a reason behind why he put 10%?
Okay, he was a professor of economics for Harvard. He's an entrepreneur. He's a billionaire. He had Bill Gates at this property that I sold. He said, I was the only one out of the 6 that I believed in myself. And he said, that's what I needed. He goes, you believed in you enough that you should be paid. And so he was unbelievable for the next 20 years. And he's still good friends with me. And the story just goes on and on and on about.
What an exciting,
that's a fun story.
That is a fun story. That is awesome. That's one thing in real estate that you get a lot of is that stories over the years. So
I know I'm going to write a book.
You should. You totally should. Okay, Linda. So kind of wrapping things up here. Looking into the next year. I mean, we're at the end of the year right now. How does Linda set herself up for the next year in real estate?
I am crazily writing thank you notes to anybody and everybody I know. Every single day, I write a thank you note if zoning helped me. I thank the title company. I call her the superwoman that's just dying. She's buried under closings and say, I notice you're working hard. Anybody that touches my life during the day, which is hard at Colvin, but that's how I'm nurturing my business.
Yeah, that sounds like great business advice for anybody. And okay, so I have just a couple rapid fire questions that I like to kind of end with. If I was to pick Linda up, and you wouldn't move to an area, I think, where you were kind of new, you didn't have family, and so you had to develop a real estate business. But if I was to move you today and put you in a different state, and you were going to do real estate, you're going to take 5 listings, how would you go about that new process of like just getting started, knowing what you know now?
I wouldn't.
Of course you would. If you had to.
If I had to?
Yes.
Well, chances are I would, if when I was starting, and with most people aren't as old as me when they start, you would have kids. And so you would start working your sphere of influence with your kids. Anybody that helped me move into my house, anybody that I go and get coffee in the morning, I have lunch with, I just start a rapport. The first thing I would do is get involved in some community. I'm in Rotary, Chamber, and I just don't get involved. I end up being the leader and running it. So I'd say get involved in the community and get to know people.
So you would get in front of people quickly.
Talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing.
Nothing else I say today. You must talk. Texting and emailing and Snapchat and all those others are okay, but you must talk to people.
Let's talk to people. All right, let's end with this one. What's the best business or maybe real estate advice that Linda has ever received?
Create a need for the difference. Okay. So what that means is when you begin to make more money than what you need to live on your budget, you must create a need for that difference, or you will pee it away, or it'll dissolve. That you must create a need for the difference. My personal advice would be give to those who can't give back. Mm. And then I would say be kind to everyone because everyone's struggling, and even the strong break. Mm-hmm. I also believe in miracles. Separating maybe a personality from a problem has helped me in real estate immensely.
Separating the personality from the problem. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Focus on what the issue is, because every person that's involved and there's a problem or a solution that you're trying to do, they're personally involved in it. So you have to separate that person, that personality that's whining, crying, screaming, and yelling, and focus on, okay, what are we trying to do here? And then focus on that and focus on getting solutions to solve that problem. And because you're probably not going to fix all of their personality disorders with one real estate sale. They think you will, but you probably won't. So,
well, Linda, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. Thank you so much for sharing some of your wisdom. It's an honor to be in business with you. I appreciate everything you've done for us, and you're an inspiration to people like me getting out there and just hustling every day. So real estate's our game, and you've been doing it a while, and thank you for kind of slowing down and taking some time today to share with us some of your tips.
One more thing, Caleb. Don't spend more time on a mean-spirited person than you spend on a person that you love.
Oh, there we go. We so often try to fix the problems in our lives or the things that are causing pain when in reality there's people that are loving on you or that need your help that are right there, and you're spending time on the problem instead of the.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Caleb.
Linda.